bless football, Mikey, eh?
God bless football, Billy.
Here we are. It's Friday. Big win for the Jets yesterday over the Houston Texans. We were talking a moment ago before we started recording. Not a good day for the people that fell for the trap of saying the Jets are favored in this. I'm going to take them.
That'd be me.
Really?
I fell for that trap.
Wow.
I early in the week, I saw Jets -1. Give me the Texans. Give them to me twice. And yeah.
We discussed it yesterday on Pregame Power Up on DraftKings Network with Trey Wingo. If the Jets win this game over the Texans, are you back in on the Jets? By the way, we are presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. Also, we do game days. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Now, we are going to be talking to Chris Sims later. We're going to be talking to Todd McShay later. We're going to have our pick segment later. Stugotz is going to be joining us later as well. But, Mikey, I'll ask you now that the game has been played, because coming into it, you said if the Jets win, I'm definitely not back on the Jets and believing that they're going to make the playoffs, believing that they're going to go far in this. But now that it's happened, you're back, right?
I'm still out, but I'm fighting it more than I thought I would be. I'm fighting that urge to be like, they really can go on a run here, because they can't go on a run. I said before, I was like, this is the game the Jets win. This is the game. They have no business beating the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are a great team. They were 6-2 coming in, and the Jets have no business winning. But here we are, and I'm fighting myself not to go back.
I don't want to do Jets schedule talk because I feel like that's where this goes. But Cardinals, Colts, you get right back in this.
Listen, Joe Flacco's good. Joe Flacco's good.
That is true. Joe Flacco starting over Anthony Richardson against your team isn't what you want to see, which is crazy to say as a sentence out loud. But I feel like that's where we are. Also, CJ Stroud, sophomore slump.
Okay, I need to ask you a question about the Garrett Wilson catch, because I am a Jets fan. I see it and I go, that's one of the best catches I've ever seen. But is it one of the best catches, or do I have Jets blinders on?
Okay.
I put it up there with the Odell Beckham one.
It was an incredible athletic catch. It was a great play. However, by the rules, I don't understand how George Pickens' catch was not a catch, and that is a catch. Like, the foot comes down, then we say the shin is down, but, the shin is connected to the leg, and the leg keeps rolling, and then the leg goes out of bounds before the knee comes down. And, if the back of your foot, the heel of your foot goes down, and then the front of your foot touches out of bounds, you're out. So, I don't understand what a catch is in the NFL anymore. But it was great. But it was great. But it was great. Where do you put that compared to the Odell Beckham catch?
Odell Beckham, Garrett Wilson. But it's just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's 1 and 1A.
It's 1 and 1A. It's 1 and 1A. But I wonder, am I just saying that with Jets goggles on, or as somebody who doesn't like the Jets, do you look at it and go, yeah, that's 1A?
I think the thing with Odell Beckham is, if you watch it from the side angle, is that when he catches it, he continues to move back and brings it beyond the back of his head and then comes back in. But man, that was a great catch last night.
And he was interfered with. Yeah. That's Odell Beckham wins.
Odell Beckham wins, but last night was a great catch. I have some bad news for you if you are a Garrett Wilson fan, Mikey A. And I don't know if you're aware of this. But if you like Garrett Wilson, unfortunately this week you will not be able to take him in our fantasy league, because our fantasy league is only for the 1 o'clock games and the 4 o'clock games. That is presented by Smirnoff. $3 buy-in, dkng.co/Smirnoff if you want to participate. Fun show coming up. You want to just get to it, Mikey?
Let's get to it.
We were discussing when you couldn't hear us whether you're into Halloween or not. Are you a big Halloween guy?
Not really.
Really? Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, I got 2 little kids, so I do my best.
Right.
It's never been. I mean, once I was done with college, I feel like I kind of over it.
Huh.
Really? But you have 2 kids. I mean, you have an obligation there. You're just going through the motions? Is that what you're doing, McShay?
Totally going through the motions.
We're very happy for you. You have joined our friend Bill Simmons over at The Ringer. Your new show is out, The McShay Show, and we were laughing about the title of the show. It's cleverly named, but we were wondering what was second and third place when you guys were figuring out. Congratulations on the show, Todd, and thank you for joining us. When you guys were figuring out a name of the show, what were the other options?
The McShay Todd-cast.
I do like the Todd.
I like
Todd-cast.
Yeah.
A good Todd-cast.
Todd-cast is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about my kids, that's what they wanted me to offer up. I did, and people at the Ringer just laughed at it and said, yeah, "You can joke about it, but that's not going to be your podcast name." The Todd Show from like the Caliendo bit. But,
The Todd-cast.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm not with Kuiper anymore.
Right.
You know, and I am in spirit, but not company wide. So yeah, I don't know. We landed on that. That was their call. Feels a little like arrogant, right? Like, look at me.
Yeah.
I get it.
We were spitballing here. We said Todd Talk would have been good.
Yeah.
Could have done it in front of like a black screen on a stage the entire time. Or also, I mean,
Todd Talk. That Russillo was remembering back to a time I was at the Shade Hotel in Manhattan Beach. Brought him into my hotel room with all my film set up and talked him through Jameis Winston versus Mariota in that draft class. And he referenced it as a Todd Talk instead of a TED Talk.
And you were right, by the way. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't win them all, but I won that one. Yeah.
Billy,
I don't know that there are any huge winners in that, but yeah.
No, there's not. Well, yesterday you won. But Billy, you had another suggestion, right, for titles?
well, no, we were thinking about like what we could name it, and Shannon Sharp has a show, Club Shay Shay, so we thought, what about Club McShay Shay?
There you go. That is good.
Yeah, I mean,
more casual. You'd be on a couch.
I've been called Shay Shay before, but not since that podcast. That's gone away.
I am certain, Todd, that you had.
Are you guys drunk, by the way?
We are.
No.
We're drinking Smirnoff.
We are
Yes,
Smirnoff, yeah.
I
World's
mean,
number one vodka. Please drink responsibly.
Listen, you try being a Jets fan, okay? You be getting hammered on a Monday at noon as well, okay? You spent your day yesterday watching the Jets lose in person. Is that correct?
I did.
Yeah. How was that?
I was texting with you, Stugotz. Like, it sounded like a great idea. My son's 10th birthday was recently. We were trying to pick a game that we'd go to. And obviously, you know, I played college football with Joe Douglas and thought it would be cool to bring him there and to Tate, my son, to a game when Joe was there and, you know, get an experience, right?
Yeah.
And that game looked interesting. I knew the Patriots weren't going to be great, but the Jets are in town. They're going to have a great season. We all were expecting that. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, 1-6 versus 2-5, but still an unbelievable experience. And thank you to the Patriots. Thank you to the Jets. You know, got to bring my son on the field. I'm talking to, you know, a former ESPN executive on the sideline. I look over my son. Yeah. I don't know if you've been on the sideline of an NFL game pre-game. They have like the ropes up where people who are allowed on the field have to stay within a certain area. And my son, I just thinks he runs the joint, you know? And I look over and I'm talking to this guy, Jerry Madelon, who G-Matt. I don't know if he was there when you guys were at ESPN.
I know Jerry very well. He's a wonderful man. Yep.
He really is a wonderful man. So I'm talking to him, lose track of where my son is, and he thinks it's okay. Now I look over, he's in the end zone. And I'm like, oh, shit. You know, like I know, and all that's running through my head is like Joe texting me, like, "What are you doing?" Stacey James with the Patriots yelling at me, and so I look over, and now the Jets are coming out of the tunnel, and Braylon Allen, their rookie running back, number 0, comes running out, and Tate is like, "What's up, man?" with his hand out. And I'm like, this isn't going to end well. And so I'm like, Jerry, I got to go. So I start walking over. And Braylon was cool. He looked around like, what? Like this, he's not supposed to be here. And I thought he was going to be like, get out of here. But he was cool. He was like, what's up, buddy? How you doing? And so that was the start of my day. I thought we were going to get kicked off the field within like 5 minutes of being there.
Right. Kudos to your son for acting like he owns the joint. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's a page
Mm-hmm.
out of your playbook, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, but you're his dad, not me. So
yeah. I mean, we had to have a conversation about that after.
I am certain you had a number of suitors. I'm wondering how you ended up, how this deal came to fruition. You with the Ringer. I'm excited for you. I'm just wondering how it all came about.
You know, when I was laid off with a bunch of people at ESPN. I kind of made the decision a few months in after kind of, being frustrated, going through all the emotions, that when I go back, I want to do it my way. And my guy, Steve Mensch, who's been with me behind the scenes, scouting, lives up in New Hampshire, doesn't like to travel, just been doing the grinding for over 2 decades, like 25 years. And I was like, you know what? Mensch is going to be my guy, and we're going to go on, and we're just going to be transparent. We're just going to do it our way. We're going to take people behind the scenes of our scouting process, bring them into, in league offices and scouting departments, what they do, and truly have fun with it. Like Stugotz, I spent 15 years on the road.
Yeah.
Leaving on Thursdays, coming back on Sundays, going to, from Knoxville one week to Tuscaloosa the next week, and had an absolute blast. But it tore me away from my family a lot. And more, it just was a grind. And I loved it. But when I kind of came up for air, I was like, the media game has changed. The landscape has changed. I'm watching you clowns, 5 days a week having a blast doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an inspiration. I'm watching, whether it's McAfee or, Russillo and you guys, that seems fun. So we shopped it around, talked to 9 different places. Finally found the right home, and that's hard to do, but I found the right home. Spotify has gotten behind us. We're going video with the podcast 3 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. During the college football season, we do a show right after the games, after the primetime game on Saturday nights, which I signed up for, and I love doing it. But now I'm going to bed at 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. But man, I love what I'm doing, and it feels right. And it's the first time in a long time I can actually say that. So it's really cool. And I appreciate you asking.
So we're happy for you. It seems like a life choice though, right? Like this was a life choice.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
You and I talked a lot,
yes,
after I got laid off, and I talked to a lot of people who left ESPN or never worked there. And ESPN has been wonderful to me. I don't regret a minute. I learned so much. They created, who I am, in terms of on air, and I don't have a single regret. And I truly, I'm not just saying, I truly appreciate ESPN and everything that it did for me, and the relationships I have there are lifelong. But this was when presented with this opportunity, it was about being able to do it the right way, in my opinion, being able to do it where it was best for me and my children and my family, and also being able to do it without restrictions. You know what I mean? Of
course,
with what I do, you guys do have the fun, and you, your whole thing, your entire life is you've been a great sports fan, and you bring that. When I listen to you guys, I hear the passion, the energy, I see the fun. It's contagious, right? And that's why I love listening to your show still to this day. For me, it's about all the tape I watch, all the conversations I have, to be able, instead of just in 90 seconds with a clip that it has to be sold to somebody, and to actually be able to sit with this stupid microphone in front of me and equally stupid headphones on, to sit in my office where I watch tape, and just to have the conversations with the audience that I'm having with people in the league, and to be able to dive in deeper to what I'm doing to evaluate these prospects has been a lot of fun.
Is your life a lot different now that you're doing the podcast? Or I guess your professional life, your workflow, is it a lot different? Or you're still going to do a lot of the same stuff, but now we get you, 3 times a week during the season?
My the process is the same. We started in May for next year. It's a full 12 months a year evaluating. I'm watching the same tape, have the same database, have the same board, having the same conversations with everyone. So nothing from the process changes at all. It's a lot less travel. And so with that comes fewer stories of, I sat down with Nick on a Thursday before or Friday before a game. And so I don't have as many of those stories, but I still have everyone's cell phone numbers. I'm still talking to everyone. But what's different now is we get to, I've already 1 week into the show, I trust the people I'm working with, the producers I'm working with. I trust Mensch implicitly. And to be able to just shoot a text, this week we have Joel Klatt coming on tomorrow. Mm-hmm. To shoot him a text this morning, hey, do you mind joining Penn State, Ohio State this week? And to be able to tap into those, it's been 2.5 decades of building relationships and getting to really know people and traveling with them and dinners and to be able to kind of call on all that now is really cool. It's hard though. Like you guys make it look easy, but like lining up guests, figuring out what the rundown is, that's the hardest part for me. Like I always go on shows and answer questions. I go into a studio, I answer questions.
Interesting.
I get a rundown and it's like, all right, these are the 5 players I'm talking about, or these are the 3 teams. So I've always been like kind of pushed and pointed in the right direction. Now it's like this, this open canvas, if you will. So the hardest part for me is figuring out, all right, what are we going to talk about this week? What's interesting? So like the creative part is different and it's harder, but it's also more fun because it's challenging. So yeah, I don't know. It's a long-winded answer, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it, man. I really am. I was worried. I promise you, like pacing around, nervous about the first couple of shows.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You got to remember, I've never done this.
I know.
I would go on a half-hour show or an hour show, and I would have a rundown like this is what we're going to do in the A's.
Right, Jayden Daniels, go. Right, exactly.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels, and like here are the 3 clips that I have, and I could time it out to what the video is, and so to have like, all right, we're on for 60 to 90 minutes. What do you got? So I was nervous. I was truly nervous. I wasn't like shaking in my voice, but I was nervous. I did like an open for the first show. I've never written my own open. I don't host things. I'm not talented. I'm not Van Pelt. I'm not Le Batard. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not these dudes. And so I'm not going to try to be. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned from the first week is I can still stay in my lane and I can screw this thing up like procedurally, the structure. I'm not going to have these great transitions from one thing to the next. But I think if we're just talking ball and I'm sharing exactly what I'm doing, I think there's a small audience that might be interested in as we continue to move forward.
How's Kirk Cignetti doing it? Games aren't even close. They're just blowing people out.
What a great
transition.
Love you,
wow.
He's the best.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he knew. Listen, we needed it. He gave it to us, and now you have to.
Yeah, it was getting like too sappy and emotional. No one cares.
Yeah, no, they do. People care. But Billy, the timing was perfect.
It was that, or you and Stugotz are wearing the exact same outfit, which is really distracting right now.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like,
well, he's got a sponsorship. I'm still working on mine.
Listen, not everything on my body is for free. Okay,
it's either for free or he's trying to get it free.
Just
that vodka in front of you is. I know that much.
For sure.
Cignetti. Oh, yeah. It's interesting because the guy I worked with, I talked to you about Steve Mensch. There were 3 of us. It was myself, Mensch, and Kevin Whittle. And Kevin Whittle and his whole family, he was with me for 12 years. He's now scouting with the Baltimore Ravens. Kevin was. He's always talked to me about Cignetti, IUP, long history. And he's a different cat. And so I've known about Cignetti before Cignetti was even anybody, when he was at IUP. And so to see him rise up the ranks and to win and Google me and all this stuff has been kind of fun to watch because I've had this connection with him without knowing him. But, while he's like a different cat is the best way I can put it in terms of socially and all that, his attention to detail, his confidence in his plan and what he's doing, his leadership from top to bottom, you can see it on the field. They are not the most talented team. They are not, an undefeated team in terms of just pure got dudes on the field, but they don't make many mistakes. They believe in what they're doing. Defensively, they're buttoned up. Offensively, they understand who they are. It's really cool to watch. And I just love what and I also I have some friends who are really deep ties at Indiana football. It's a basketball school. There's no question about it. But what's different between Indiana and maybe even Kentucky, I don't know, is they absolutely freaking love their football. And they've been starved for something like this. So it's been fun to watch.
They should enjoy it now because it ain't going to be there for long.
Why not?
Because he's headed to Ohio State next year. He's going to take a bigger job. Come on. Why would he stay in Indiana?
I do hear. You get online,
yeah.
Can you imagine having the win percentage, the recruiting, the talent, everything that you've done in your Ryan Day? They're like,
yeah.
Ryan Day, bring in Cignetti. We want Cignetti. Can you imagine?
No.
A guy that they didn't know about 2 years ago.
Wait, guys, Ryan Day is 56 and 8. He is 56
It's unbelievable.
and 8.
How spoiled are you? It's ridiculous.
But
I don't know. And I promise you this, Signetti, like, they go beat Michigan, and if he's the Ohio State coach, like, he's going to annoy their fan base too. He's not going to be as accessible. He's not going to he's not going to recruit maybe whatever it is.
As long as he beats Michigan, though, Todd, that's all that matters, right?
Herb Street always talks about it. It's the greatest fan base in the world, except for the 10-15%, whatever you want to put that number, the lunatic fringe.
Right.
He talks about it like the Ohio State lunatic fringe is up there with any fan base. It's just, they're so loud that it drowns out like the other 85% of like rational, good human beings, like all those. It's just that lunatic fringe is special.
Todd McShay is with us. The McShay Show, a new show, part of the Ringer, and wherever you get your podcast, it is available. I am wondering here, Todd, how you had the quarterbacks ranked last year, headed into the draft, and would you re-rank them differently now that you've seen them play 7 or 8 games?
Caleb's special. Okay, I mean, and we're seeing it. We didn't see it for 3.5 quarters yesterday, but we've seen it like the last 5 or so games. He's special. He's got. I'm not saying he's ever going to be Mahomes. There's only one Mahomes, but he had a lot of those same traits where it's sloppy, footwork's not there. But my God, can he create and can he do special things with the football that most guys just can't do? So as a whole, I had a slight, I think it was like 96 and 95 on a 100 grade scale, like 2 of the higher grades I've given out in a long time ever at the quarterback position. But Jayden, I had as like a 3rd rounder coming into the year. Jesus. And I remember 2 years ago being on the field with Brian Kelly with Jayden and being like, listen, Todd, like I know you evaluate these guys. I promise you what I see in practice is a guy who can anticipate throws, who can throw to spots that you don't see always on tape. And I'm pissed because it was before the Tennessee game when they had Hendon Hooker and Tennessee was rolling, right? And they got rolled up that day. LSU did too. But I was on the field like 20 minutes before kick, and he's walking me through. He's like, the worst thing is, he's like, I know it's not you, but like the media, especially locally, is like, oh, Jayden's doing great. He hasn't thrown an interception. He's like, I'm dying for this fucking kid to throw an interception because I want to prove to him that it won't be the end of the world. Like, we're going to be all right. He's like, I just need him to rip it and trust his eyes. He's like, he has to see a receiver come open. Very first play of that game, it was a comeback route on the left side. And I could tell by the conversation I had with him and then how the play unfolded. He was like, listen, I don't care if you throw a pick 6 here. Get the ball out on time, trust your receiver, trust the play call. And he did, and he ripped it, and it was a beautiful throw to the left. And that was the first time I saw, like, Jayden's not just a phenomenal athlete who can run in the 4.3s and can make some deep throws and do some beautiful things when the play breaks down. If he trusts his mind and his eyes, he's going to get to a point where he can do special things too. And so from that point on, he kept getting better and better and better, anticipating things, trusting the offense, trusting his eyes. And then we saw the following year, he put together the season that he had. And I said it so many times to Russillo, if I was dropped on this planet and said, all right, here's the 2023 tape of Caleb, 2023 tape of Jayden, I'm taking Jayden. He had a better season. I see it more. It's just, it's more it translates better. But I've seen the whole career of Caleb and I know what he's capable of. So I gave them almost identical grades, loved both of them. I was slightly higher. It was I think 96 and 95 for those 2 quarterbacks coming in. And Drake May was number 3 on that list, but there was a noticeable gap between the first 2 guys and Drake May. So that's where I stand. It surprises me because no rookie should be playing the way Jayden has played.
It's crazy.
Period.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
He just, like, no rookie should ever have the rookie year that he's had. You can argue, and I know he missed the time and he wasn't great yesterday before the Hail Mary and all that, but you could argue that he's the MVP of the league.
I said it this morning. You can argue that easily, by the way. I mean, Washington was a disaster before he got there.
Yeah, and what he's done to the whole organization, like the confidence has been instilled. And there's a lot of scouting. I know we don't have to deep dive, but there's a lot of scouting stuff here. Like the same offense he was running his senior year with Denbrock, who's now at Notre Dame. is a very similar offense to what he's running now. So the transition wasn't that hard for him. Playing more ball, transferring from Arizona State to LSU, and being in different systems and getting as much game experience as he had, that's critical too. And so I think some young quarterbacks can learn from his journey. I hate the word journey, but his experience in college and the fact that playing more games is critical, because when he got to the NFL,
right,
he was ready. Yeah. And it's rare to see that a quarterback is absolutely ready. And Jayden Daniels has been ready.
BFD with Mike Florio every day on Peacock, the Button Podcast, Football Night in America. Mikey A and I were discussing right before you came on Anthony Richardson and him tapping out and saying he's tired, and God forbid a guy who runs that physically says he's tired for, I mean, Jesus, the NFL. Everyone climbed down his back. What were your thoughts on that whole thing? Because I think Joe Flacco is the better quarterback, is the better option, gives them the better chance to win, but that's a weird way to get yourselves back to Joe Flacco.
Yeah, no, well, it is. It is. I mean, first off, listen, that has never been seen ever in the history of football. Never.
Chris, we've never seen a quarterback run that physically in the history of football. Maybe Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. So, I mean, come on. We watch Lamar Jackson run 7 miles every game. We see Josh Allen run everywhere, every game.
Yeah.
Well, we're watching Jayden Daniels run everywhere in every game. Right. They're not tapping out. Right. I mean, he ran 2 plays in a row? Ask Ryan Kelly, the center, or some of the linemen. They're going, wait, on some of those run plays on that drive, you just handed the ball off and watched. We were still blocking and working.
Right.
You tapped out. You're supposed to be the leader of the team. That's not a good look. I think that's just a microcosm of why he's being benched, is that right there.
Okay.
I think there's more to it, right? And I think it's whether it's maturity, just learning how to work and be ready for the game on a Sunday, all of that. I think that there's a little of the players have spoken out a little bit, and then add the fact of what you're saying. Joe Flacco gives them the better chance right now. Now, is that the right decision? Hey, listen, it's a good conversation. Anthony Richardson's good is really good, right?
Yes.
It's just as bad as really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to win a game 10 for 32, 8 for 24. Those are the stat lines we're seeing right now. Misthrow, bad decision, misthrow. Whoa, what a throw. Misthrow, bad decision, misthrow. Whoa, what a throw. That's what it is watching them right now, and that's hard to win on a consistent basis. And I think between probably some of the immaturity things and then what goes on in the field, I think that it was hard for Shane Steichen to sell that to his locker room anymore, that they were putting their best guy out there in Anthony Richardson, and I think that's why they go with Joe Flacco. It ain't over for Anthony Richardson.
Right.
They know how talented he is. They just, last year's injury kicked the can down the road to this year and development, and he didn't get the offseason last year and all that. So, yeah, there's still some work to be done, but they're not going to give up on him in Indianapolis. There's no way, because like you said, the high-end talent is real deal.
Yeah, but Mikey, he's so right about that. No one can make 2 quarters of bad quarterback play go away with a single throw like Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. It's amazing. And then what Shane Steichen is doing,
right,
and managing games and keeping them in it, right, with that style of play is truly phenomenal. Now, this week is where I think with Joe Flacco, you got to play the Vikings, right? And again, he's more experienced. They have a passing game. The Vikings are one of the best teams in football at stopping the run. So if it was, Anthony Richardson and just a run game and a few passes here and there, totally plays in the favor of the Vikings. Anthony Richardson with all the stuff Minnesota does at the line of scrimmage, Joe Flacco makes them more dangerous. He's going to be able to check plays, get different protections, just more comfortable because of experience through the years in that element. And that's where I think, that's where the value in Joe Flacco and starting him right now.
Chris, what'd you make of how well Jameis Winston played last week?
I mean,
crazy.
I'm a
right?
Jameis fan.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
The first thing you say is, what the would Cleveland look like if they played Jameis 4 weeks ago?
Yes. I mean, Stefanski's a great coach when he's coaching a team that doesn't have Deshaun Watson as quarterback.
The defense is an all-star defense.
Yep.
It's still one of the best in football. It's even better than when it's statistically ranked. Because, again, with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, it was 3 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt. I don't care what defense you are. If you're the 85 Bears, you're going to break down eventually with that formula. You need the offense to give you a rest, get a little momentum, put you in a position of power from time to time on the defensive side of the ball. They never got that. They're going to be dangerous here. Watching that film on Tuesday, I mean, all you need to do is if me, and Mikey sat down and watched the film, you'd go, oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess Deshaun Watson was holding him back. First off, he doesn't make any of these throws. Second off, the offense was totally different. They were way more creative and schematically did different things and aggressive that way, which shows you that they weren't comfortable calling some of those plays with Deshaun Watson. So Jameis Winston was awesome in the football game. The Ravens defense is not good. People got to stop thinking Ravens defense. The Ravens defense sucks.
Yes.
They stop the run. They can't stop the pass at all. They can't rush the passer with their front four. They got issues there. But, man, Jameis, I think, adds some juice to that Cleveland football team, and I think they're going to be dangerous here going forward.
At least the
Imagine
Ravens.
the Browns still had Amari Cooper, too.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know. Exactly right. Now, I think where he is in his career, end of the contract, and I think they also look at it like Cedric Tillman, who you saw make the game-winning touchdown, I think they probably looked at it and said, hey, he's damn good. We feel like he's starting caliber receiver anyways. We don't want to extend Amari Cooper in his contract, right? I think they'll probably look to do something else in free agency of the draft to add the receivers there in Cleveland. But I think they looked at it and they were like, we're comfortable. We'll still be good without Amari Cooper. But to your point, Mike, yeah, they'd probably be more dangerous with him. There's no doubt about that.
Chris, they're 2-6. They take on the Chargers. When you say they're going to be dangerous, you're not thinking playoff dangerous, are you?
I'm not going to say that yet, but would I be shocked that they string together a bunch of wins here and all of a sudden we're sitting here a few weeks from now going like, damn, they're 8-8. And if they can win the last two games here, or one of the last two, they might squeak in with some help or something like that. I think they have that type of capability. The Chargers are favored by a 1.5 in this football game. They're really kind of very similar teams. In-your-face defense, right? They want to run the ball. Cleveland with Chubb is getting there. They're not quite where they want to be that way. I took Cleveland to win the game because I just don't think the Chargers have enough firepower on offense to beat that Cleveland defense consistently. And like I said, this Cleveland offense, I think, is something to be reckoned with a little bit now with Jameis at the helm.
Do you expect the Ravens, because they got Deontay Johnson, but they need defense, you're right, and they have one of those kind of losses every year, man. They have losses like that, usually in the playoffs. They're getting them out of their system now. But do you expect them to get some defensive help before the deadline?
First off, I feel like the Ravens get a free pass. Everyone anointed them the Kings and the best team in football. And I'm going to be like, what? They're 5-3. They could have lost some other games too.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand just because like there's a love affair for Lamar, which I understand. He's awesome.
Yep.
But everyone's just like, oh, Lamar and Derrick Henry, they're going to the Super Bowl. Like what? First off, they get a little pass happy. Again, last week, Cleveland, if there's a problem with their defense, you can run the ball. They run the ball 11 times. I don't understand that. And, yeah, the defensive side of the ball, Stugotz, has got issues.
It does, yeah.
With the trade for Deontay Johnson, and, yeah, they need another corner or somebody like that or a pass rusher, something of that element. But obviously that's not presented itself in a trade package or anything like that. I think with the Deontay Johnson thing, they just showed you, forget it, we're just going to outscore everybody. That's what they're opting to do. They're whatever. And I would say this, and I said this on my pod Wednesday, when Baltimore tries to rush 4 and play zone or some side of coverage behind it, they're wasting their time. Don't even just walk off the field and go drink Gatorade because the team always gets a big play. They're better. Blitz every play. Go crazy. Send the house. Send the house. Maybe you tip a pass, strip sack, fumble, get an interception. Nonetheless, let them go. If they don't, let them go down and score and get your offense back on the field. I would play a little more like Detroit does. Detroit goes, you're either going 3 and out or you're going to go down and score real quick. But either way, Jared Goff and the company are coming back on the field, and we're going to attack. And can you keep pace with us? And I feel like Baltimore needs to do that. Stop trying to be like the 2012 Baltimore Ravens. That day is done.
I think John Harbaugh would tell both of us. He would tell both of us, Kyle Hamilton catches that pass, we win that game. You're not saying what you're saying right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would still question the defense. No, the defense was bad enough. And even with that play right there, it looked like he should have caught it. We know that.
Yes.
Elijah Moore Jameis Winston there. He was running on a certain angle, and as Jameis is throwing the ball, he did a shake and ran a different direction.
He did.
So that really screwed it over. Like, people want to make fun of Jameis and go, whoa, he'll give you one of those every game. That was more on Elijah Moore, but your point's real. But I still think, and I've been saying this even before last week, their defense is a problem. And that trade for Deontay Johnson, that to me kind of shows you they're going to go, screw it. We're going to go offense and try to outscore everybody.
Sims, walk us through the final play of Commanders-Bears last weekend. Like, just walk us through what's going on in your head, like what you're saying. You're in the studio. You're watching that game unfold. He throws a 65-yard, 70-yard Hail Mary. There's a guy celebrating off to the side who's not prepared for the play. What were Chris Sims' thoughts as that whole thing unfolded? Because Jayden Daniels, man, he might be the MVP of the NFL this year.
Well, I don't want to go. I'm not going to go that far. He's not the MVP. He can't throw 7 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions and be the MVP.
But he's still. The Commanders
good.
are so bad for so long, and the difference is Jayden Daniels.
I know.
Right.
Yes, no, and he's added juice to the organization, and he's playing awesome. There's no doubt about that. Like, really good. Okay, I broke this down on my pod too. The biggest flaw at this end of the football game was the second to last play.
Right.
That's, to me, the number one flaw. That's where it starts. If you go back and watch the end of the first half, Washington tried to throw some out routes to get in field goal position to get a late field goal before before halftime. Bears played the defense of protect the sideline. On the second to last play of the game, Washington was on the 35-yard line, and the Bears had nobody within 40 yards of the line of scrimmage as far as coverage guys. They just had the 3 down linemen. Everybody was back. Why? Why would you let them throw a 10 or 15-yard out route with 6 seconds left? I mean, why? They can't throw it. He can't throw at 80. He's not going to be able to throw, the line of scrimmage being from the 35 and probably have to be 7 or 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage and throw it. He doesn't have that kind of arm. It's not that kind of arm. Why wouldn't you protect the sidelines and invite them to throw the ball over the middle and the game is over?
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
So that's where the dumbness started. And to let them get that 13-yard completion to the 48-yard line, that allowed them to throw the Hail Mary. And then the Bears, who were undisciplined, Caleb and the offense played like crap all day long, found some magic late. They did not play good at all. Caleb played bad. It was a bad game by Caleb. He went in there going, I'm going to show Jayden, this is my hometown. I'm going to show everybody I'm the man. He came in with a preconceived notion of how he wanted the game to go instead of just playing the game, and that hurt them. But then on the last play, I mean, I'm yelling. I was yelling on the second to last play. Right. But on the last play, we're sitting in the studio getting ready for the show, and I'm watching it happen. And, of course, we just went crazy yelling because it was probably about 6:30, 6:45, maybe even a little later than that. And we were just about to start the show or maybe had started the show. We all went crazy yelling about it and the Tyreek Stevenson crap and everything along with it.
What's worse, the Stevenson crap or tapping out Anthony Richardson? I mean, come on. Yeah, thank you.
That's a good one there. I mean,
why is Stevenson still playing, huh? I mean,
yeah. I mean, the Stevenson one's bad. That's bad. First off, he had a personal foul in the game. He was jawing all game long. Yeah. He got beat and didn't play all that well in the football game altogether. Then he's going to try to rub it in the crowd's faces, not do his assignment, then run over there at the last second, tip the ball in the air. I'll give him the crown over that one. Anthony Richardson, his heart's in the right place. He's just got to mature and run some wind sprints. Okay, during the week. I mean, we can't run out of breath at quarterback. Okay, you can't do that. Sorry, that's not in the rule book. But yeah, I would go Tyreek Stevenson was worse than Anthony Richardson.
Mikey, here's the deal: you're not allowed to be tired in the NFL, or at least you're not allowed to acknowledge it publicly.
Not as a quarterback.
You can be tired. Right. You can be tired, but yeah, you can't be the leader of the offense and like, oh, you ran 2 plays in a row when the offensive line while you were running around is like, and then the 10 plays before that were like, blah, 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 and they're working the whole time, and it's like, oh, you worked 2 plays and you want to come out now? Right. That's a bunch of BS. You can't do that.
Does any other excuse work there? Like, hey, the shoulder pad kind of fell out of place. I had to get it back in.
That it could have. Right. If you have an equipment issue, right? My strap fell off, whatever. Yeah, to do that. But don't tap out because you're tired in a big moment of the football game. And then put the offense and Joe Flacco in that position.
Yeah.
That's not fair to them either. That's where it's just not the right thing to do as an NFL quarterback. You know that. I know that. We all know that.
Mikey, it'd be odd if the shoe's untied and then they announce, hey, we're going with Joe Flacco. Can't really do that. The Colts got exactly the response they wanted. I'm tired. Go ahead, Mikey.
We were talking about is this the Kyler Murray that we've been promised for like years? Is this that guy, or are we just waiting for it to go down again.
He's been
No,
good.
no,
Sims. Yeah, he's been good.
No, it's been good. And Mike, yeah, I think he has turned the corner. I do. Now, again, I don't think they're super talented to where I just think they're definitely going to the playoffs or going to make some big run here. I think they'll be a pain in the butt all year long. I think ultimately they're not a playoff team, but probably upset some teams' playoff dreams and are in the mix here throughout. They're tough. They're pretty well coached. I think if we talk to most people on the street, they wouldn't be able to tell you a player on the Arizona Cardinal defense, right? Off the top of your head, you probably only know Budda Baker, and that's about it.
Yep.
And for most fans out there. Offensively, they do lack firepower. Marvin Harrison Jr. is very good. He's not the guy that's going to beat you 80 yards deep for a touchdown. He's very good, though. There's no doubt about that. Trey McBride is one of the better tight ends in football, and James Conner is literally like, the Terminator Connor guy. Like, he just physical, tough as hell, whatever, right? But to your point, Mike Yeh, Kyler in the pocket, tougher, making more closed or tight window throws, pocket collapsing, not just abandoning ship and going, I'm out of here, go, gadget legs, I'm running, that's what I trust. Standing in there, throwing big throws off his back foot, showing a little edge and leadership this year. I think we've seen a different Kyler Murray. That was a big-time game last week. Listen, that was never easy for them. They scored points in the second half because Kyler Murray was tough and made big-time plays and throws and big moments. It wasn't like, oh, he's wide open. Oh, they're running the ball everywhere on them. No, it wasn't. It was playmaking. So I got him losing a close one to Chicago this week, but I wouldn't bet on it because I think Chicago's a little more talented. But no, I think Kyler Murray in this style of play is here to stay, Mikey. I think he's turned a corner. I do.
Chris, the biggest play of that game, the best play of that game, in my opinion, and the play that ended up winning them the game, and this is why Kyler Murray is so good, was that third down run by Murray. That was such a great – like, he's one of – I don't know how many quarterbacks can make that play, but he's one of them, man.
I mean, again, I've seen Kyler Murray run around for 74 seconds in plays and never tap out of the game, just to let you know. Okay? Never. I've seen him do it like multiple plays in a row and be like, zoom, 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 throw it away, zoom, 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 zoom. I ran for 20, zoom, zoom, zoom. I threw it for 15, and he doesn't go, hey, coach, I'm tired. And
Game for your life. Best game Kyler Murray has or best game Jameis Winston has?
Wow.
Wow. I'd probably take Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I'd probably take Kyler Murray. But Jameis is capable. His potential in big games, I mean, he's thrown for 5,000 yards. I mean, he's led the NFL in touchdowns, but we know he's led the NFL in interceptions. I feel like a Jameis greatest game you've ever seen is going to be like 450, 4 touchdowns, but probably 2 interceptions. And maybe a fumble that he recovered, right? Something like that.
Sure, of course.
Where Kyler's best game is going to be like 355, 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 interception, but then also like 4 or 5 like holy runs for like 80 or 90 yards, right? And that to me is a little bit more dangerous. I'll take Kyler there.
Jameis would have a tackle in that game, though, too.
Yeah, you're right. Well, one of those interceptions, he's going to go get somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Does Kyler look taller when he's playing well?
Oh, yeah, he does. I think everybody feels that he looks taller when he's playing well. I had a little fun with him last week just on Football Night in America. We headlined it Call of Duty, right? Because of his past with the contract stuff. But it was more in a, hey, Call of Duty's gone. Duty is called, and he's kicking ass. And that's kind of how I tried to frame it. And I'm glad to see Kyler having success.
Chris, just back to the Bears. I know you picked them this week. You think they'll beat Arizona. But Caleb Williams last week, just 24 pass attempts. Like, it's time to take the training wheels off. Let the kid play.
Well, that's what's crazy is they did in the weeks leading up or prior to the bye week. And last week, too, they couldn't get on a rhythm early on in the football game, but that was partly blamed of him. I will blame him. And if you watch my Wednesday podcast, I showed a number of screenshots and plays throughout the game that he either missed the throw or he made a bad decision or he just predetermined, I want to make a big play. I'm throwing it deep. And it's like, why? The guy's wide open right here. Or this guy's wide open over the middle. Why are you throwing it at 400 miles per hour? Just complete the ball. Instead, he lose control of it. It wasn't as good of a game plan by them. I do think they were a little conservative early, but it wasn't like the training wheels that we talked about the first week or two.
Right.
It just looked like training wheels a little bit because he did not play well. Like I said, I really think he went into the game with an agenda. I'm going to show everybody that Jayden's not as good as me. I'm back in my hometown and home area. I'm going to show all my buddies and family in the crowd how awesome I am. And when you do stuff like that and you don't just play the game and react, you get yourself in trouble. And that's what I feel like happened to him in this one.
Because he's pressing, you're saying. He's thinking too much. He's just not playing.
He's pressing too much. He wanted to impress too much. He wanted to
Got
prove
it.
to you, Jayden Daniels isn't the rookie of the year. I am, right?
Yeah.
All of those type of things. I'm going to show everybody that I'm the man and that he's been getting all these headlines, but they're going to see I'm better today. And I'm back home where I played awesome high school football and was a number one recruit. I'm going to show all my family I'm the man. I'm going to throw for 400 today. And he tried too hard in that capacity, and it snowballed out of control.
It is time for this week's edition of Stugotz, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. College football, Week 10, 8-5 a week ago, 46-38-2 on the season. Pretty good. Here we go. Got a bunch of games. USF at FAU. USF is -2.5. I am taking South Florida. They win. They cover USF by 10 points on the road. Arkansas +7. Taking on Mississippi. Buy it up to 7.5. Mississippi wins. Arkansas covers. Mississippi by 4 points at home. Army -22, taking on the Air Force. Army wins. They cover. They win by 28 points, and they continue their march towards a playoff bid. Vanderbilt +7 at Auburn. Auburn, I don't like them. I thought they were going to be good headed into the season. You know what? They're not. I thought Vandy was going to be bad. They're not. I'm taking Vandy here. They win the game outright. Buy it up to 7.5. I don't know why I'm telling you to do that when I have them winning the game outright, but do it anyways. Vandy wins by 4 points on the road. NC State -10 at home, taking on Stanford. Stanford's awful. Buy it down to 9.5. Take NC State. The Wolfpack win by 14 points at home. Syracuse +4, taking on Virginia Tech. Buy it up to 4.5. Virginia Tech wins the game. Syracuse covers. Virginia Tech by a field goal. Buffalo -1 at Akron. Buffalo wins and covers. Buffalo by 14 points on the road. Nebraska -6, taking on UCLA. They are bad. Nebraska, I have no idea if they're good. Whenever I have a team and I don't know if they're any good versus a bad team, I take the team that I don't know is any good. Nebraska, they win, they cover. 14 points over UCLA at home. Navy, I have not given up on you. -10.5. They're at Rice. Buy it down to 10. Navy wins and covers. Navy by 17 points on the road. Texas A&M might be the best team in the country. They're going to South Carolina. They win, they cover. It's -2. The Aggies by 10 points on the road. And finally, big game of the weekend, Pitt and SMU. That's right. Pitt and SMU. You heard me correctly. It's the big game this weekend. I'm taking Pitt here. SMU is a 7-point favorite. Buy it up to 7.5. SMU's going to win the game. Pitt's going to cover. SMU by 4 points at home. NFL Week 8 season flying by. I say it every year. 4-3-1 a week ago. I am on a heater. 36-22-2 on the season. Falcons -2.5, taking on the Cowboys. Atlanta wins. They cover. The Falcons by 10 points over the Cowboys. Bills -6, taking on the Dolphins. The Bills, they might be the best team in the NFL, not named the Chiefs. They might be. They win, they cover. Bills by 14 points over the Dolphins. Bengals -7, taking on the Raiders. Buy it down to 6.5. Cincinnati wins, and they cover. Cincinnati by 14 points at home. Commanders -4 at the Giants. Giants, terrible. Buy it down to 3.5. Washington wins by 7 points. They cover the spread. Arizona -1.5, taking on the Bears. Arizona wins. They cover. They get the record to 5-4. Arizona by 7 points at home. Rams getting healthy at the right time. -1 at Seattle. Rams win and they cover. Rams by 7 points on the road. And finally, the Colts +6 taking on the Vikings. Vikings win the game. Colts cover. Vikings by 3 points at home. I'm taking the Colts. Those are the picks, everyone. Good luck.